When we first launched, we were hoping for, maybe 400, 500 people. Harvard didn't have a Facebook, so that's the gap that we were trying to fill. And now we're at 100,000 people, so who knows where we're going next. We're hoping to have many more universities by the fall, hopefully over 100 or 200, and from there, keep people coming back to the site and maybe could make something cool.
Instagram caught on so quickly?
It's a really good question, and I think we've thought a lot about that over the last, few months, especially now that we're catching up with the scale that we're at. I think Instagram caught on because it appeals to the visual nature that people, go after in their lives.
If you really want to stay connected, there is a new service, and supposedly it is the next big thing. It's a name you can't forget. It's called Twitter.
They're even describing some of the users as twits. They say despite its popularity, most of the postings are banal. Like tonight, there was a posting from someone saying, I'm just making a protein shaker waiting for my girlfriend to get out of the bath. And it certainly generates a question. Do we need to know that much information about the people in our lives in 140 characters or less?
No.
Dana?
No.
Social media began as a way to connect. What began as a way to talk across university campuses and cities has evolved into an outlet for communication across countries and continents. The immediacy of a tweet or a Facebook post and the access to social media in 2016 means that a person in South America can chat with a person in Australia in real time about a favorite band. It means that person in Australia can also follow the US presidential election, even if their only knowledge comes from what they see on Twitter. It means that a person in America can easily learn about the Delhi gang rape protest in India, just as a person in India can learn about the Black Lives Matter movement, all at the click of a button.
Social media has had a large influence on society and the knowledge that people gain. In some settings, what is relayed through social media can expand a person's knowledge. I think that Twitter has helped you provide knowledge to students and inform parents and others about what goes on at RVR.
Well, I think Twitter is an awesome tool because it lets me put out information, not just things that I think are important, but also things that other people maybe send me and say, like, this should be out there. And often parents will say to me, wow, that was so cool that you tweeted that because I didn't even know that was happening. Mm-hmm. Or I asked my son or daughter what's going on at school, and they're like, nothing. So all those little things that you put out there definitely give people more ideas about what's happening.
At the same time, the information presented on social media does not always give the full story, and as Clay warns, can lead to misinformation.
It's pretty obvious that if, like, Facebook is your only resource for news, you're in trouble. Because depending on, like, the different people that you follow, that's gonna, like, predicate where you get your information. So, like, it could be one source of information, but it definitely shouldn't be your only source.
It was reported this year that 62% of Americans get their news from social media, up from 42% 4 years ago. This leads into the direct correlation between what people see on social media and how they respond to it. Facebook faced a controversy recently involving the issue.
Facebook this morning is defending itself against accusations of political bias. An article posted Monday on the tech news site Gizmodo said Facebook workers suppressed conservative-leaning news stories in its trending section.
In this 2016 presidential election season, the link between seeing and believing is stronger than ever, and it's evident in the opinions of the youth of America, who have witnessed the events of this campaign unfold on social media. How do you think social media is impacting this year's election?
Well, for instance, I follow Donald Trump on Twitter. Like, sometimes I see these videos of Hillary Clinton, like, saying really dumb things that makes me want to not vote for her. There's, like, a lot of pro-Bernie Sanders stuff on Twitter, a lot of anti-Donald Trump stuff, but also a lot of pro-Donald Donald Trump stuff. I usually just see mostly like anti-Hillary Clinton stuff.
I think it shows that in the 21st century that, it's not just about knocking on doors or talking on the phone to people. It's about tweeting and Facebook. And it can really change the landscape for a lot of these candidates.
Yeah, so, I've been following the real Donald Trump on Twitter, and I've been seeing what he says about crooked Hillary, and it's just like, it definitely influences who I'm going to vote, because I think Trump reaches out to the younger population a lot more than crooked Hillary.
His tweets have really influenced me as well. Crooked Hillary, I actually believe she is crooked.
Yeah, me too. And she lies a lot.
She lies a lot.
That's just lies.
This election has honestly become a joke, and everybody makes fun of all the candidates. At this point, I'm pretty sure who I'm voting for, but like someone like Donald Trump is already pretty pathetic, and they just make him look worse on social media, especially Twitter. I feel like it's big on politics.
Based on social media, I don't really like any of the candidates, if I'm being honest. I think that they're all portrayed pretty ridiculously.
So why do people, teenagers especially, become so invested in and reliant on social media for their knowledge?
Here we have Ella and Carly. They like to learn new things. Ella is a huge endorser of all forms of social media. Right now, Ella is checking Twitter, specifically @RealDonaldTrump. Ella believes Donald Trump is the best candidate because he knows so much about all the aspects of his other candidates. She also acquired her knowledge of global issues from Twitter. Another prime example from Ella's social media adventure features our good friend Yeezy. On the other hand, we have Carly, who has been taught not to trust everything she reads on social media. She prefers to gain her knowledge from more credible sources.
Through the contrasting methods of Ella and Carly's quest for knowledge, you can see that social media hinders people's perceptions of global issues. Social media gives access to knowledge. However, the anonymity and unreliability of media makes it less credible.
Social media is where most common misconceptions are formed. One of them involves a 4-letter acronym whose use has become notorious in breaking news and on social media.
What do you think is the deadliest terrorist group in the world? ISIS.
I guess everyone says it, ISIS.
ISIS.
I believe that ISIS is the deadliest terrorist group.
It's not.
An article in Nick earlier this year explained that African group Boko Haram is actually the world's deadliest terrorist group.
People just believe that it's ISIS because of the group's social media presence and tweets like this.
Social media has evolved into a powerful tool that both individuals and groups use to evoke emotion, relay information, and promote ideas. The ties created by social media may not be as enduring as those created by interpersonal communication. Social media does create networks of people, and therefore creates conversation about issues that may not have been brought up if not for social media. However, tools such as Facebook and Twitter should not be an individual's most reliable form of getting information about global issues, because after all, once you have been introduced to the power of social media, you become a victim under its control. But just because you're the victim does not mean you cannot also be an offender. And as you continue to tweet, post, text, and email, remember that someone else in the world is sitting at a computer or on the phone, relying on your information and knowledge, putting the power of social media in your hands.
On the other hand, we have Carly, who has been taught not to trust everything she reads on social media. She prefers